What up? Today we're going to be looking at NFL free agents and on the offensive side of the ball and where I think they're going to sign. In this video, you might see a couple of the players be in the same position put at some of the same expectations or team fits, but that's because a lot of these teams will be looking to fill those exact positions, so it just makes sense. Um, I'll be posting a defensive video just like this probably in a couple days. If you like this kind of content, please let me know down in the comments. Let me know how you feel about it. Let me know how you feel about where I predict these teams to go, or these players to go to what teams. And then also, subscribe and liking the videos would do a lot to help my channel out. So, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go with the quarterbacks first, and that's going to be Derek Carr. Derek Carr is 32 years old, and he just got cut by the Raiders. He's going to make a good amount of money no matter where he goes. And I have his team fits as potentially the Jets. That's one of them. The Jets have built a really good defense and a really young defense out there with Bob Saleh, and he's got a good control on that as that's been his side of the ball for years. Plus, on top of that, they've had the offensive rookie of the year in Garrett Wilson, and if it wasn't Garrett Wilson, it would have been Breece Hall had he not gotten hurt. So they have weapons already. Not to mention Elijah Moore, and then even their tight ends are fine with Conklin and Uzoma. So I think Derek Carr could be a player who could put them in a contending spot for the playoffs really quick. They were almost there this year with Zach Wilson and Mike White, so that'd be great for them. I don't know if they would turn into a for sure Super Bowl contender, but it could happen for sure. With the right coaching and with the right staff and players, it could really happen with them just by adding Derek Carr. But that would definitely make them a playoff contender. Then with the Saints, so the Saints were the team most expected to go for Derek Carr prior to him being released. They had met with him a few times, and he was going to be traded there, but I think the package wasn't working out, or maybe Derek Carr didn't want to help out the Raiders. The Saints have a bit of a cap issue on their hands. They've paid a lot of guys over the last few years, but the cap is maneuverable, and they've proven that multiple times. The Saints have some good offensive help, honestly. They have Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, and then another offensive rookie of the year contender in Chris Olave. I think those guys, will Michael Thomas be there? Who knows? Alvin Kamara is especially a question mark with his off-field issues, but you got Chris Olave, and there's other things they can do in the draft and picking up more guys to help him out. The defense is pretty good. They're a little bit expensive and slightly older, but I think it'll be fine. Plus, the O-line's pretty decent. So I think this would be a good fit for him as well. And my final one is the 49ers. The 49ers have been in a weird quarterback spot because of Jimmy Garoppolo getting hurt, Brock Purdy getting hurt, Trey Lance getting hurt, etc. I think the Niners are a really good team, obviously, and they are definitely a quarterback away. They've been to the Super Bowl and won a lot of games with Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo especially, but Derek Carr's another level, so I think that really benefit them. So for my final prediction, I'm going to say Derek Carr will probably go to. I think I like the Jets for him. I think he'll end up at the Jets, and I'm not going to consider Rodgers right now. I'll say that because Rodgers, I don't think he'll get cut. I think he's going to be a trade candidate, but that's a whole different world. So we'll wait on that, and he's Aaron Rodgers, so who knows what's going to happen. But right now, Derek Carr, I think to the Jets is the best option for him. Lamar Jackson. Lamar's in a really interesting situation. His contract dispute has gone on for a while now, and it doesn't look like they're going to come to an agreement. He's going to make a lot of money. He's already been offered a contract bigger than Deshaun Watson's massive deal, but he declined it as there wasn't as much guaranteed money. Is that a mistake? Probably, but you just don't know. Lamar has his limitations as a passer, I believe, but he's obviously a great football player one way or another. He could definitely go back to Baltimore, and I think that's in their best interest to keep him there. But if not, one of my fits is the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons have a young team. They have Kyle Pitts and Drake London. They could really use a guy like him for sure. But they have Desmond Ritter, but is he the future? But the problem with them is their defense isn't very good. So if Lamar's going to want to win and win soon, he's not going to go to Atlanta. He's going to go somewhere where he can have a team around him already. And there, he's going to fit their timeline a bit pretty good. But Other than that, it's just going to be an issue, I think. And so I don't see that as a huge, great option, although it's definitely a possibility. But I think the best fit for him would be in San Francisco. San Francisco could be really filthy with Kyle Shanahan using Lamar Jackson in whatever ways he can come up with. I mean, Kyle Shanahan is a offensive genius, and I mean he's done so much with Brock Purdy and with Jimmy Garoppolo. And you saw the jump from their offense just by how Jimmy Garoppolo started, and then just the mobility addition of Brock Purdy, huge, great addition. So, kind of like Lamar, that's gonna make their offense explode. Then you have Christian McCaffrey and Debo and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. That'd be just disgusting on the football field. Not to mention they have a really good defense. So for his final solution, I'm going to say it'll be the 49ers. I think that's a really good fit for him and for the 49ers. Plus, he's pretty young, and they can do that for a while, keep him in a weaker NFC than AFC. And so that could be a really good spot for both him and the team. Next, we have Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy is definitely in a weird situation. He could go back to San Francisco. I wouldn't have said that probably 2 months ago. Thought he was pretty much a foregone conclusion. I don't know if he wants to go back, but with their injury to Brock Purdy, I mean, Brock Purdy being a 7th-round pick, his career could be over because of that. He's definitely been a good story, but other than that, I mean, 7th-round picks don't get multiple chances. He played well, but he didn't play amazing. So if his injury, especially with the surgery being pushed back, I think that was released yesterday. I just don't see them. He's not going to be ready for day one. So if they want to roll with Trey Lance, or if they get a Lamar Jackson, cool. But I think if they miss out on the Lamars, the Derricks, the Aaron Rodgers, then Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be their guy. So that'll be something to watch for sure. But other than that, he could be another guy that goes to the Jets. I think that'd be a pretty good option for him, honestly, if they don't get a Derek Carr. They have a lot built around him. He's got familiarity with Robert Saleh as the head coach, coming back from their 49ers days together. And he's got stuff to work with around him like he does in San Francisco. But can he stay healthy? That's one of the big questions with him. The Raiders are kind of in the same situation. I don't know if they're looking to win as much as the Jets or the Niners are, but he wants to just go get paid, play a couple more years. The Raiders are a good spot, assuming they don't go with a C.J. Stroud or something like that in the draft. He can make some good money with them, but they're not going to be winning. Their defense isn't very good. They have Devontae Adams for now. They have Josh Jacobs for now. I don't think that's going to stay that way. But they're not going to be looking to do much. So getting a guy like Jimmy, keep him around, but maybe they don't have to full reset. They can just, or they don't have to rebuild. I'm sorry. They can just do a little reset and tool some things back together. But I think for his final place, I'm going to have him go into the Raiders, honestly. I think that's going to be just an open spot, and he's going to be able to take that. And even if they do draft C.J. Stroud, they could put Jimmy Garoppolo out there day one, just to get ready for C.J. Stroud to take over in the future. However, he wouldn't be making that much money if that was the case. But either way, that's a spot he could land for sure. Geno Smith, he had a good resurgence here in his career. I guess not even a resurgence. It was just his first coming into the NFL, it seems. He wasn't very good before. He just had his rookie deals and all that. But he bounced around for a while, and he stuck in Seattle. And with the departure of Russell Wilson, he took over and played pretty well. I think he goes back to Seattle. The only other place he could go would be maybe a situation where it'd just be too far-fetched, honestly, to put it as a fit. It'd be like, if Lamar did get traded or left Baltimore might pick him up, but that's an if, then if, so we're just going to leave that off of there. Seattle's where he's going to stick. With that, we've got our first running back. Saquon Barkley has had his fair share of injury issues, and that's one concern for him for sure. He's 26, so he's pretty young, and this position is not as coveted as it used to be, but he could go back to the Giants. He'll probably get his best money there. But other than that, a team like the Bills could be really interesting. I don't know what their cap situation looks like right now, but their issues have been a lot with the running game and how they can't get anything started on that side of the ball, especially in the playoffs, if not for Josh Allen. So giving an elite running back to a team like that could really solve a lot of their problems. They also need to tool up their offensive line, but that's something they can do through the draft or through some veteran signings in free agency. I think Buffalo would be really cool to see, but that's a bit of a pipe dream. I think if I could pick one out of this whole video of one of these things to really happen, I think I'd pick Saquon to the Bills, just of the interest. And then you've got a similar situation down in Miami. Miami has a good offense already. Tua's been decent. And, you've got the Tyreek Hills and Jalen Waddles already, but they also have a iffy running game. And I think last year they ended the year with Raheem Mostert, who is a fine back, but he's 32 or maybe 33. So he doesn't have much time left, especially that position. That's pretty old. So I think Miami could be looking for an elite running back as well. Their defense was okay. They played iffy, bad, not great last year, but that's partially because some of their best players, like Xavier Howard, almost slipped his name. He was pretty rough the whole season. But if he can get back to his true form, they could be a really solid team. So with that said, I'm going to predict Saquon Barkley either, this is kind of a influx position, but either goes back to the Giants or he goes and tries to win with Buffalo. And that'd be a good move for Buffalo to really push them to the next level. So after that, I've got Josh Jacobs. Pretty much the same markets, same reasons also. I don't know if he's going to go back. He's definitely had some issues there last year. He voiced his concerns in the end of the season, in the Pro Bowl, I believe, as well. He said some things. So he's 25. He might be 26 when the season rolls around, but he's going to make a little less money than Saquon, I believe, just because he never had as dominant of a career. He did. I mean, he was probably the best back this last year, but before that, he was just good. And then he had a couple down years. So he could go back to the Raiders. However, with them getting rid of Carr, I don't see that happening that much. But they're going to be able to pay him more than anybody else at this point. So that might be why he goes back. Once again, Buffalo and Miami, that could be really interesting. Either like for the same reasons, getting an elite running back to put in with those offenses that they already have would be really cool. But I'm going to have him going to Miami. I think that's going to be the best fit for him. I don't think he goes back to Oakland. He probably does take a little bit of a pay cut to go to Miami, but with Saquon resetting the market, he might get a little bit extra. So, yeah, I like that fit pretty good. Then we have Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders, I know he wants to go back to Philly, but then, I mean, why wouldn't you with how they just ended the season? He's not going to get as much money as Saquon or Josh Jacobs for sure. And the problem with him in Philly is Philly had a couple years where they were able to rotate Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, whoever else they had on the field at the position with not much decrease. And that says more about Eagles than I think it does say about Miles Sanders, because the Eagles have one of the best O-lines, if not the best O-line in the league. So that just really, really benefits them. Miles Sanders could definitely go back if they accept him, but he also could be another candidate in Miami. That would be able for them to save a little bit of money, not spending so much as they would on Josh Jacobs or Saquon if they were in the market for them. But it would give them a pretty good running back to help them just be more dynamic on the offensive side of the ball. Then Atlanta would be another option. He would probably get paid the best there out of any team. It's one of the weird situations where going back to Philly may not give him as much money as it will somewhere else. But Atlanta, their offensive line's iffy. They don't really have a guy at the running back position, though, right now. They have Cordero Patterson, I believe, but he's 33 or so, and that's old for a running back. So Atlanta would be a good spot for him, but I think I'm going to have him sticking around in Philly. They might give him like a short one-year deal, some type of thing to just keep him around for a little bit. If not that, I definitely like Atlanta as the alternate option. Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard could also be another guy who goes to Buffalo or anywhere else. He really took over the spot in Dallas as the number one back this season, and I mean rightfully so. Ezekiel Elliott's become essentially just a short down running back, but Dallas would be the team with Jerry Jones to spend money on another running back. So, however that works out, it will. The Carolina Panthers are an interesting option, though. I really like that fit, honestly. They just lost Christian McCaffrey in a trade this year, and Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard were okay at best. I think Tony Pollard going to Carolina, will give them a good pop to their offense. This fills a position they don't necessarily have the best things at, and it'll help them become more of a landing spot for other free agents because, I mean, Tony Pollard had a really good season. He fits kind of like a Christian McCaffrey does. He's a good receiving back and also a good runner. Maybe not as good, but he's still pretty dang good at both. So I really like that fit for him as well. So with that said, I'm going to choose him going to Carolina this offseason. That's the best fit for him, and I think him getting out of Dallas gives him the best chance to be an elite running back with or without his injury he just sustained. David Montgomery is an interesting guy as well. He has been underrated for the first couple years of his career. I think he might go to Chicago or stay back in Chicago. I mean, he's going to be making not too much money. They have a ton of cap room, but I don't think can command as much money as some of the other guys. They do have a good pair setting with him and Khalil Herbert right now, so if he likes that, then he might stay. But he could be a good replacement for Josh Jacobs on the Raiders. They have a similar running style, I think, and so that could be a good fit for him if Josh Jacobs does leave. And also, if he could go to the Bills as well, I think he'd also be a good option for the Bills, a bit of a discount option comparatively. You could probably give him $8 million, $10 million, and him stick around just for the chance of winning. He'd be a lot better than what they do have currently, and I think Devin Singletary and James Cook and Nyheim Hines would be good pieces to set behind him and help him out and give him breather reps. But yeah, so I'm going to have him actually going to the Raiders. I think he'll be filling the spot for Josh Jacobs. And if Josh Jacobs doesn't leave, I'll say he just sticks around with the Bears. Next, we're going to start our wide receiver position. And this position is a bit iffy this offseason. There's not as many star players in this position for sure. JUJU Smith-Schuster, he signed a one-year deal with the Chiefs this year, and it panned out for him really well. Definitely think he can stick around. Be a good reason for him to stick around. He's going to get about $10 to $16 million, somewhere in that range. He's been a really solid receiver in his career in Pittsburgh and then in Kansas City. Really sure-handed guy. May not be the fastest, but he's he's going to catch what you throw at him. If he wants to get paid, I think he goes to Chicago, gives Justin Fields some help. He's used to that type of market and weather with Kansas City and Pittsburgh, and he'd be able to probably make 16 plus in Chicago because their receiver room is iffy at best. I mean, they have Mooney and Chase Claypool, which would be a reunion for him, but I mean, that's not very good. And I mean, JUJU would probably be the best receiver there immediately. If not, he'd be 1B. It wouldn't be any far off. So it'd be able to get him starting role for sure. Number one target or number 1/2. And also he'd be able to get paid more than anywhere else for sure. Another option could be Green Bay. Green Bay has had some problems at their receiver position. They obviously have some young guys in Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, but JUJU would come in, give a really secure, kind of a safety blanket for them, especially as they're about to lose Robert Tonyan, I believe. And it would just be a good fit for him, I think. You have a guy that's a burner in Christian Watson, and then you can get an underneath guy like JUJU to really help out that offense, no matter if it's Rodgers or Jordan Love or whoever. It should be a really safe bet for him. I believe Green Bay was a contender for him when he was franchise tagged in Pittsburgh and also when he signed with Kansas City. I believe they were looking at him as well. With that said, I'll say I'll take JUJU to the Chiefs this season. I think he'll stay. Robert Woods. Robert Woods is older. He just got cut by the Titans. His market is definitely a lot lower than the rest of these guys, but he's still an interesting player. As I just think he's still fine. He's not great as he once was, but he's a solid player, and he's going to bring a veteran presence and a solid. He's kind of like the JUJU vibe, just a little more mature. He's a bit safer. He's got good hands. He's a good route runner, and a team like Dallas could really use him. Dallas has CeeDee Lamb right now, and I believe Michael Gallup, and that's about it. Getting him would give them a good second, third option, good slot receiver, and I think that would just really fit with their offense. Then you have the Giants. The Giants have had nothing at wide receiver the last few years. They've had some names, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, but no type of actual play has come from them because they've been hurt every 2 weeks. And then they're playing with some guys who were working at Walmart a week ago that are now on an NFL field. So, they just need some bodies in that room, and I think Robert Woods will be a guy they can get for cheap and be a solid, safe option, assuming he stays healthy as well. And then Pittsburgh, similar situation. they have some good receivers in Deontay Johnson and George Pickens, but after that, it kind of falls off. Calvin Austin, they drafted him last year. He hasn't played one game yet. I don't even think he was in training camp this year, so he could be iffy. I know that Steelers are looking to get a slot receiver, whether it be through free agency or the draft, if they don't feel confident with Calvin Austin. And I think Robert Woods would be a really good fit for that. He, like I said, similar Juju vibe. He's got safe hands. He's a good runner, but he's not going to command much money. And I think that's something they're going to look at for sure. However, I'm going to have Robert Woods going to the Giants in the offseason. I think it'll be a good fit for him as a player. And also, they might pay the most money because they need the bodies in the room more than the Steelers or the Cowboys. Darius Slayton, another Giant player I was just talking about, he has had a couple good years. He's not going to get as much money as some other guys, but he could definitely go back to New York. They need him. They need him more than anybody else probably does. So definitely a reason he might go back. I think they could really sign him and Robert Woods both. That would just benefit them overall because I don't really see them bringing back Sterling Shepard unless he takes a pay cut. So then they have the Giants, which, he was already there. So the Panthers. The Panthers were okay last year. I think they're probably a little bit better than expected for some degree. I think they were the team that almost beat the Buccaneers out of the playoffs, but maybe it was the Saints. I don't remember. Either way, the Panthers have limited bodies on their receiving core as well. They have DJ Moore, and then they have, what's his name, Terrace Marshall, but Darius Slayton would give them a good second option behind DJ Moore, and I like that fit pretty good. And then the Chargers. The Chargers are kind of expected to cut Keenan Allen as a bit of a shocker, but cap casualty. It happens. So if they do that, they really could go after Darius Slayton and get him and Mike Williams together, and that'd be pretty solid for Justin Herbert to throw to. If they lose Keenan Allen, they're going to need to get somebody in there, whether it be through the draft or free agency. So save a little money, get him instead of Keenan Allen. I like that fit too. But I'm going to have him going back to New York. I think they're going to be able to overpay him, honestly. They might hit 10 plus just because they need him. He didn't stay healthy this year, but if he does stay healthy, he's going to instantly be the best receiver they have had in a while just because, he's put out decent numbers when he's played. It's just that's been the issue. Can he or the rest of his receiver room there play? But he'll go back to the Giants. Jacoby Myers has had a couple good years with the Patriots now. Definitely another guy who can go back to his team. They probably need him as well as their receiving options haven't been very consistent or good, or they've had some issues with health too. So I think he probably goes back, but the Giants, another team, they could look at him as well for the same reasons as they'd look at anybody else. They just need bodies that are decent at catching a football in their room. But an interesting one I thought of was Baltimore. Baltimore, assuming they get Lamar Jackson to come back, could really use a receiver like him. They've had, I can't think of his name right now, Rashad Bateman, who they drafted just a couple years ago, and he's been okay when healthy, but Jacoby Myers would give you a really safe slot receiver to play, and he would just give you something that they don't have right now in terms of a guy who can just be a secure target. And that would help a lot with the Ravens offense having really only Mark Andrews to consistently throw to the last few years. So for Jacoby Myers, I think the receivers are going to invest in the receiver. The Patriots are going to invest in the receiver position somewhere else this offseason, like my mock draft video. Go look at that one if you want to. But then I'm going to have him actually going to the Baltimore Ravens. I think that might be a really cool fit for him, and I think it'll help both sides for the team and him. DJ CHARK, he took a one-year deal this season after being on the Jaguars for a few years. He's been pretty solid. He had some good numbers the last couple years, and once again, the Giants, they need receivers, so he could definitely go there, especially if they don't bring back Slayton. Baltimore as well. If they are not able to pull in Jacoby Myers, I really like him to fit there. It's the same, kind of similar to player, I believe, to Rashad Bateman, but I think it's a good body to have in there. And then the Chargers, he could help them out a lot. If they do cut Keenan Allen, that's going to definitely be another target. I don't think he's going to go back to the Lions at all. They didn't utilize him a whole lot, and there was an explosion with Amon-Ra St. Brown. So think he took a chance to be a number one and he kind of missed it. So he's going to be a number two somewhere. Uh, but with that said, I'm going to have him going to the Chargers, assuming Keenan Allen does get cut. I think it will happen. So I think he'll replace that spot. And if not, there's a lot of teams that really could sign him in the long run, but that's what I'm going to predict right now. Moving on to the tight ends, Mike Gesicki is probably might be the best one available. There's okay market this year for tight ends, but he's not going back to Miami. He put out a tweet a couple days ago responding to Caleb Williams saying he would like to go to Miami. And he was just basically saying, like, oh, they told you I was going to be there? Well, that's probably not going to happen. So he could go to the Lions. That's a pretty good fit. They just traded TJ Hawkinson, so I don't know if they're really looking to pay another tight end right now. They had okay output from their tight ends that they replaced him with, just ones they had on the roster, but he's better than anybody they have on the roster, so it'd be a good addition for them. Chargers, similar. I don't even remember who their tight end was this past year. I can't think right now, but just helping with the pass catching in general, I think that'd be a good fit, especially if they do lose Keenan Allen. He might be a guy they bring in just for like a safety blanket type. Give Justin Herbert somebody else to throw to. You cannot stop helping out these young quarterbacks if you want to win. And then Green Bay, I said earlier, they're probably going to lose Robert Tonyan, and so I wouldn't bring him back if I was them. And Gesicki would be a good replacement, assuming they don't go with Michael Mayer in the draft, which I don't believe I had it in my mock draft. So once again, go check that out. But I'm gonna have Mike Gesicki. I think he's gonna go to the Lions. I think he'll bring enough to that room that they're gonna like that over what they do have. And plus, their coach Dan Campbell was a tight end, so you might be able to see a lot in him that they could use and utilize well on their team. Evan Engram, same situation Lions wise. Just he's better than anybody they have. I don't know how the Jaguars are going to look at him. The Jaguars are another team that could look at Michael Mayer in the draft, or Dalton Kincaid if he's still there as well. They may want to go with one of those options, overpaying a guy like Evan Engram, who's had a lot of drop problems, but then blew up this year during the middle of the season. And then Green Bay, losing Bob Tonyan, definitely another option for them as well. More of a receiver than a tight end in some ways. So he'd be a good fit in Green Bay, I think. And that's where I'm going to go with him. He gives them a real versatile option. Doesn't play the tight end spot necessarily as well as he plays a receiving spot, but they just need help in general. And helping out those guys like Dobbs and Christian Watson would give them just an extra floor to their offense. Dalton Schultz. I have all the blue teams here, I guess. He is going to have the biggest market out of anybody this year because he probably was the most consistent tight end this season. Not necessarily in the league, but just in terms out of these guys. But he could go back to Dallas for sure. I think that's a good fit, and it played well there. Plus, just the relationship he's grown there with Dak clearly was pretty great. So I think that's a good fit. He could also go to Indianapolis. They have been running with, I believe, Mo Cox for the last few years, and he's an upgrade for sure. He's a little older than the last couple guys, I believe, so that might hurt his value a little bit, even though he's projected to be higher than the rest of them. But then Lions, same situation, could be going there just to fill a better body than what they have. I think I'm going to have him staying in Dallas, though. Dallas had a good season, but they're going to need to keep what they have to continue going on the path that they're going and trying to win a Super Bowl. So I'm going to have him staying in Dallas. For the offensive line, I just realized I have that cut off. Great. But either way, I'm going to kind of combine them a bit just because they're not as glamorous as some of the other positions. But Taylor Lewan was another cap casualty of the season. Let me just fix this real quick. Slide that right up here. Boom. Either way, Taylor Lewan, he was a cap casualty again. He's had a lot of injury issues the last few years, and it's something that's going to hinder him a lot. He was once a really good tackle in the NFL, so that's why his value is still going to be higher. He has the IQ and the ability to play there as long as he can be healthy. Pittsburgh, Chicago, Jacksonville, Tennessee, and the Colts and the Buccaneers are teams that could all look at tackles. They've all had their struggles there. However, they may go with the draft. They may go with the free agent route, or they might keep their in-house options. They also, Taylor Lewan could go back to the Titans, or, well, let me rephrase that. He won't go back to the Titans. Orlando Brown and Isaiah Wynn could go back to their teams. Taylor Lewan got cut, so unless they just end up signing no one and drafting no one, Taylor Lewan's gone. They might come back together and, do one of those. Well, we'll take you on a lower number since nobody picked you up, but no, he's not going back to the Titans. Misspoke there. There was some rumors to him in Pittsburgh. I don't see that happening as he's got some issues with TJ Watt apparently. Chicago could use as much help as they can get on their offensive line. And then Jacksonville could use some help there as well. I believe they're losing a couple free agents on their line this year. The Colts, their left tackle position's been a bit empty for the last few years. They signed Eric Fisher a couple years ago, and that didn't pan out too well. So they could use him as well. Buccaneers, same deal. However, I believe he's going to go wherever he feels he can win the best. So that's going to be a weird situation. If the Chiefs end up losing Orlando Brown, maybe he fills that role. Which takes me to my next guy. Orlando Brown's definitely the premier tackle of this free agent class. He's 27, so not a bad age for sure, and he's definitely had the best career up to this point. I believe he's going to stay with the Chiefs. He's just they've got to invest too much for that offensive line to stay as a contender in the NFL. But yeah, I think he stays there. And then Isaiah Wynn, he's got some good money value as well. Been pretty good, not as elite as Orlando Brown, but been a good player nonetheless. He's probably going to be out of New England. I don't know where he'd go. I'd love Pittsburgh to sign him, but maybe he could really fit a team need like in Indianapolis that could help, or he could fill the role of Taylor Lewan in Tennessee. But I think once again, these guys, I feel like with their status in the league right now, they're going to go to a place where they can actually win. That's going to be one of their higher priorities, winning, and also just who can pay them the most. So they might battle for that. Baltimore could be another option. I don't remember what their tackle position looks like at the moment, but those are teams that they could contend if they got some extra help. So then after that, we've got the guard spot. Isaac Seumalo, Nate Davis, and Dalton Risner are the guys available. Isaac Seumalo is a little older, but he has been pretty solid the last few years, and he has definitely been a injury risk, but that's why his numbers can be low. He's been solid though when he's been on the field. So there's a lot of teams again here: the Giants, the Buccaneers, the Bengals, the Bills, Dolphins, Bears, and Rams. They could all use offensive linemen, so they're all fits for these guys. But his number, I bet he goes to a team that's looking to win more. Maybe Buffalo, maybe Cincinnati. That's just where I see him going. Nate Davis, he's a little younger. He's the youngest guy here. Probably he may not be the best one here, but he's much more consistent than the rest of them, I feel. I think he could go to a team like Chicago and help them stabilize their offensive line for the next few years. That would be a good fit for him as well as the team for sure. And then maybe even Buffalo if they don't get Seumalo. And then Dalton Risner, he's been with the Broncos, and he's between their ages, but been really consistent as well. And all these guys could definitely go back to the teams that they're currently at, but I just think those are all the teams that are interested. And predicting offensive linemen is not for sure at all. So I'm not going to give them predictions, but those are all the teams listed. And then the center position, I don't have them listed, but the only one that's actually that relevant, I believe, in this free agency class is Jason Kelce. And if he doesn't go back to Philadelphia, he's retiring. So I just didn't feel like listing out him. But either way, that's going to be all for the offensive side of the ball. If you have any extra guys you want me to ask me about, hit me in the comments. I'll be looking for those. And also, let me know how you feel about this video. I'll be posting the defensive part of this in just a couple days. But yeah, thank you for watching. And, if you like this, keep subscribe to videos, and I'll be posting more soon. Peace.